Girls everywhere in the world in grade 9, and this is the last video explaining this beautiful book, chapter 8 in the book for grade 9, English grammar for writing, right? So what are the objectives for today? Real quick, not to make the video really long. We will go over all the clauses that we talked about before and see if you can still remember them. You need to be able to identify them. Because at the end of the video I will talk about the bunch of activities that will come at the end of the chapter. Knowing these types of sentences or clauses, I should say, clauses and the sentences actually that we talked about in the very last lesson of the chapter will help you improve your sentence variety. You will see when we come to the activities at the end of the chapter. Anyway, so lesson 8.1. We talked about what? We talked about adjective, independent and subordinate clauses. And we said an independent clause is basically a simple sentence that can stand alone. A subordinate clause is a clause that has a problem because it has a word that stops it from becoming an independent sentence, right? Just real quick. For lesson 8.2, we talked about an adjective clause. And we said that adjective clause is a clause that describes a noun or a pronoun, and it starts with one of these words. So that's the thing, to know whether or not a clause is an adjective clause, an adverb clause, or a noun clause, you have to see what it describes. So specifically here for adjective clauses, they describe a noun or a pronoun, right? Move on quickly to lesson 8.3. And in that lesson, we talked about adverb clauses, and we said adverb clauses describe a verb, an adjective, or another adverb, right? And this starts with one of these words here. Okay. So after that, we talked about noun clauses. Noun clauses don't really describe anything. Okay, they just come in the sentence and they play the role of a any of these five here: subject, a predicate, nominative, meaning after verb to be, direct object, an indirect object, or the object of a preposition. And also you can identify from these words. If you notice, these words can really help you to identify, cannot really help you identify whether the clause you're talking about is an adjective clause, an adverb clause, and a noun clause. Why? Because there are words that you can find in all of them, like where, for example, or why. So the only way you can tell whether that clause is a noun clause, an adverb clause, an adjective clause is really by knowing what it describes. Okay. We will now talk briefly about the different types of sentence structures. So we have simple sentences, compound sentences, complex sentences, and last of all, compound complex sentences. A simple sentence is basically one independent clause, and a compound sentence is a simple sentence right here. And a compound sentence is two clauses that are linked using the fanboys. A complex sentence is pretty much everything that we were talking about in the chapter. That's an adjective clause, an adverb clause, and a noun clause. That will be called a complex sentence. A compound complex sentence is basically a compound sentence and a complex sentence put together, meaning you will find one of the fanboys there, and then you will find one of the three clauses there in the sentence, right? Now we come to the revision sheets. Now we have two revision sheets, revision and editing worksheets. In this worksheet, this is what you need to do. Let me explain. Improve the following draft, this draft here, by revising the ideas, so you can play a bit with the ideas, the organization of those ideas, the word choice, sentence variety is what I want you to focus on more, because sentence variety means you need to write compound, complex, and compound complex sentences, all three types, to make your writing rich, not simply simple sentences like most of the sentences here. And after doing this revision, you need to edit your drafts for any spelling mistakes, capitalization mistakes, or any punctuation usage mistakes, those will be basically your mistakes, right? Now you need to write your revised and edited version on a separate piece of paper, and then you need to compare with a partner. It's quite a demanding activity, but it's a fun one, and it's really puts to use everything that you have practiced, not only in this chapter, but really pretty much everything that you have learned in grade 9 so far. The activity on the next page 156, is pretty much the same thing. Okay, so you need to look at it and do it. And we come to another type of activity here. It's called chapter review. Identifying independent and subordinate clauses. Sorry. Now on the blank before each of these number sentences here, you need to put the letter I, and that doesn't mean I like me. It means I for an independent clause, or S for a subordinate clause. For example, here, who was an important American painter, and there's a full stop. It's not a question. Okay, so this is definitely a subordinate clause because who makes it problematic basically. Now you need to look at these and identify them right here, I or X. Okay, now identifying sentence or identifying types of clauses. This is the meat and potatoes. This is really the one that you need to give it the most attention, because this tests everything that you have learned in this chapter. On the blank before each number item, like these, and on the flip side of the page as well, identify the underlying clause in each sentence by writing ADJ for an adjective clause, ADV for an adverb clause, or N for a noun clause. Okay, so the rest of them are here. There are 10 of them. And then exercise C, identify sentence structures. We talked about this in the last lesson before this. I underline every subordinate clause in every sentence here. Every subordinate clause, anything that starts with those problematic words, as I like to call them. Then on the blank before each numbered item, identify the sentence structure, the one here, as S for simple, CD for compound, CX for complex, or CDCX for compound complex. Right, so these sentences are right. They don't have any mistakes like here. All right, so some of these might be not here. Well, in the one before here, some of these might be subordinate clauses, so they can't stand alone really. They're fragments. But here, no. All of these are okay. You just need to identify the sentence structure. Okay. And that's pretty much it, not only for this lesson, but for chapter 8. Thank you very much for watching all of those videos, and thank you for doing all the activities. And if you have any questions, please just put them in the comments under the video, and I'll see you next chapter. Bye.